Welcome to Courtside Moms. I'm your host, Wendy Sparks. Today, my guest is a courtside mom who has 17 years experience and counting. My guest is Stacey Adams Wright, mother of Darrell and Delon Wright of the NBA. We have a lot to talk about, so let's get right to it. So thank you, Stacey, for joining me in today's episode. I'm so happy to have you with me.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. So tell me, what's the age difference between the two of your boys?
Would you believe 7 years? 7 years. I always wanted to have my second baby when Darrell was 3. Things didn't work out that way. And then when I got pregnant with Delon, it was a different pregnancy. I was like, oh, this is a girl. And when it was a boy, Darrell was ecstatic. And they are 7 years apart.
Wow. My boys too. Oh, well, they're 6 years apart. So
yeah.
Second time is like surprise, you know? So was it important for you to introduce sports into your kids' lives at an early age?
Very important for my husband and I. Being in the South Los Angeles area of the South end of Los Angeles, and with so much crime and so much going on in the city, when they got to be 4 and 5, I didn't think that any team would take them so young, but we ran into some great coaches that took Darrell at 4 for basketball. And one of the parents said, could he come and play T-ball? We were like, what is T-ball? So he started T-ball at 5. And then, like I said, 6, 7 years later, Delon came along and he started at like 3 and 4 because he was so aggressive and always following in Darrell's footsteps. So I thought it was super important to keep our kids focused. And like some people say, oh, they don't play the video games and everything. And they would interrupt and say, no, we had to go to practice, tutoring, or something. We didn't have a chance to play video games.
You know what? That's great because as parents, you kept them involved and athletic, right? You know what I mean? Like me too. My kids too. I kept them. They played. They played baseball. They played t-ball. They hockey, football, and then basketball. So basketball actually came later on in the game, which was fantastic.
Well, that's the same for Darrell and Delon. We put them in basketball, t-ball, and also football, and they took to baseball more. So they were late bloomers for basketball.
So how did they gravitate towards basketball finally?
I think when they start growing like weeds. They start growing like weeds. And the baseball coach, when Darrell went to high school, he said, I want to introduce you to our basketball coach. He had just changed high schools. Of course, he always played, but I think he was more serious about baseball than basketball. He was like, I'm going to quit baseball. We were like, oh, no, you're not. You're too far in baseball. So he ended up playing both sports.
So my kids, they played a bunch of different sports too. And my son, Kem, who now is in the NBA, actually wanted nothing to do with basketball at such a young age.
Wow.
It's just amazing how eventually they gravitate, you know what I mean, to basketball.
Correct.
With them being so tall, right? People just automatically assume that is a sport that they're supposed to be playing.
Correct.
Yeah. Anyhow, with your boys, how competitive were they?
Very, very. I think Delon is the most competitive. He would always ask Darrell, can we go in the backyard so we can play this and play that? And he'd be like, oh, I'm tired. Oh, he would get so mad at him. But I think he's the more competitive one.
Absolutely. It's always the youngest one, eh?
I think so. They always, they push themselves even harder.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So as a parent, we are focused on raising our kids, ensuring they're healthy and have a great education. It's rare that we say they're going to be professional athletes. Here you have not one, but 2 who go on to have amazing careers. At what point do you see Darrell's trajectory changing and realizing he may be more than just a varsity athlete?
Wow. That's kind of a tricky one, but it's a fun one as well. I can remember him being in the 9th and 10th grade saying, Mom, can you buy me these Jordans? Or Mom, can you get me this? And I'm going to pay you back. And I would say, pay me back. And he'd be like, yeah, when I get to the league. And do you know, the last time he said it was these Jordans that came in his suitcase. We went to about 4 malls trying to find his size, and we finally found them. And I still have the receipt in my book. But those are some of the things that he would say, you know, I want this and I want that. And if you get it for me, I'll pay you back. And I say, pay me back. He say, you when I get to the league. So he's always had that mindset. And I can remember that being like in the 10th grade. He was always, already focused on what he wanted to do.
So did you keep the receipt and give it to him when he made it to the league?
I
And said,
still
where's my money at?
I still have it. Those they cost like $2.39 or something back then, and I still have that receipt. And
That is awesome.
he asked me because he knew his dad would have said, "Oh no," but Mom, yeah, I got him.
Oh, of course, of course. I mean, look, we had some of the same struggles. I mean, my son was like 6'6" as a teenager. And in Canada, we don't have the big and tall,
Right.
read store. So I would always have to run across the border and go to Plattsburgh, New York, and find a big and tall store just to get him a pair of jeans that actually fit.
Oh wow.
You know what I mean? So did you have that trouble to find clothing and shoes for your kids, like the proper size?
For sure, shoes. And I remember him going from like a 9 to an 11 in a matter of weeks. And I said, Darrell, you got to be kidding me. He was like, Mom, I can't fit them. And would you believe he just experienced the same thing with his son?
Wow.
His feet just jumped 2 sizes. So not too much with clothes because he was standing and kind of tall, but it was the shoes for a little while.
Well, I remember with with Kim, I bought him a pair of shoes, and it was at the time for me they were really expensive, and they were Jordans,
Mhm.
and they were stolen at his school. He was in elementary school, and he
Oh,
wore size 14. So this is grade 6, and
wow.
and I remember the very next day they were stolen, and I was hot. And I went to the school. I'm talking to the principal, and she was like, "Well, we'll check the children." And I'm like, "Yo, check the children, check your staff. Like, what
Check
child in
the
this
adults.
school?" You know what I'm
Right.
saying? I was check the janitor. I was like, "What are you talking about? Check the kids." I was blue. I was like,
I believe
I-
it.
you know what I mean? I was like, "Listen." Every day for like 3 weeks, every child whose daddy came to pick them up at school, I was running across the street
Looking
checking
at
their
this.
feet. Oh yeah, I was like, who likes
Oh,
Jordans? Who do I think would like Jordans? I was mad, mad,
I
mad.
bet.
But it is what it is,
It
right?
happens. It happens.
Yeah, well, believe you me, they never made the lost and found ever. That was the
I
one
believe
item.
it.
So tell me, was the NBA the obvious choice, or was DePaul the logical pathway in your eyes?
I think that was the most stressful time ever.
Tell me.
He was in Chicago. I'm originally from Chicago too, so we were just having a ball in Chicago, supporting him in the Round Ball Classic. We went and took a tour of DePaul, fell in love with the school. The next event that he had was the Michael Jordan Capital Classic.
The classic,
So
yeah.
we were in DC. We were in DC, and I went on a tour, and my phone just started going crazy. And I'm like, oh my God, I hope Darrell is okay. So it was his AAU coach, it was his baseball coach, his dad. Everybody is calling me. So when I got, to a place where I could get on the phone, I'm like, what's going on? And it was like, what is going on? Darrell just said he's going to commit to going to the NBA. I was like, what? I just saw Darrell, before I left the hotel. I said, and we didn't talk anything about that. So I guess they had like a press conference or something with the guys after the practice. And they were asking him, well, what do you think about going to the NBA? And he was like, well, if I get the chance, I guess I'll go. That's all they needed to hear.
Yep.
So we just were going back and forth about it for a while. And after, I guess, he started hearing so much about the NBA and what could happen, blah, 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 his dad and I started talking to him, and he just sat us down and said, what if I was injured and I wouldn't be able to go? If I get the opportunity, I think I should go for it. And I was like, Darrell, it's your life and we support you. And that there went DePaul.
Right. But what was your preference as mom? And did your opinion weigh in on his decision?
My preference was to be a college parent in the stands for March Madness. And that's just what I told him. I was like, D, I won't be able to get in the stands and, do all this stuff. And he just thought it was so funny. And he was like, maybe with maybe with DeLon.
Yeah. He was
But I
already
was-
putting the pressure on DeLon.
Oh, he already said, do that with DeLon. So
Yeah.
I was really, as a parent and being a stickler about education, I was really looking forward to him continuing his
Absolutely.
education in college. But like I said, it's his life and it was, you know, his choice. And I just told him I would support him no matter what.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. In today's NBA, you have to go to school or be 1 year removed from high school. How did you prepare your son for the massive leap of a high school student to a professional NBA player?
It was a very quick time for preparation.
Mhm.
After he went to high school here, I don't know if you know, he went to South Kent
Yes,
prep school in
as a fifth year
Connecticut.
student,
So
right?
that kind of gave him an extra year.
Yeah.
I'm sorry,
As a
fifth
fifth
year
year
student,
senior.
correct.
Yes, yes.
Yes, so I would go to Connecticut and check on him and, you know, see how he's living and everything. And I think that extra year kind of like prepared him for the leap, even though we still didn't know if he was going to take the leap. But I just noticed his independence and everything, you know, just being away that year. I mean, the way he spoke, and he had to do a lot of, you know, oral presentations in class and all that stuff. And I would go out there and I was like, is that the real in front of the class speaking? So it's like he matured a lot. And
Yeah.
just from us having a really tight bond, I knew he was going to be okay, you know, by taking a leap. So once he did decide to go, he was only 18. I would still just pop up on him and just go spend some time with him. And again, see how he's living and see how he's, you know, doing and everything. So, like I said, it was a very fast preparation because everything just happened so fast.
Of course. I mean, it comes with a lot of expectations, right? And the reality of
Correct.
maturing fast, managing money, fame, and so much. And he's so young.
And 5 hours away, he got drafted and he went to Miami. And I'm like, wow, he's so far away. But he knew I was a phone call away. And like I said, the popping in on him and just spending some time with him, I think it helped a lot. He made a comment to me one day saying after practice, because he wasn't playing a lot in the beginning. And he said, Mom, after the games and practice, I have to go home by myself. And that just tore me apart.
Oh,
I said, D, what do you mean by yourself? He said, everybody's married or have somebody that they're living with, even though they encouraged him to get a roommate. And he did, but he was just like, it's not the same.
I never thought about that.
Yeah.
That is so true. Yeah.
And then at
Yeah.
18, if the guys are going out, you can't go out because you're not old enough.
But yet he's an NBA player.
But he's an NBA player.
You imagine? Wow. I never thought of it from that perspective. They're like, see you later.
Yeah, bye.
Go
But
to bed.
but we see you tomorrow. But his house ended up being like the fun house, you know, because he had the pool tape and everything and single. So the guys would come and keep him company a lot and come over to his house.
See, pretty smart. You
Yeah,
have yourself a setup and then you invite the adults to you.
correct. So
Look
they
at
came to
him.
him.
See, he's pretty bright.
Yes, it worked out.
Okay. So tell us about draft nights
Oh my goodness.
and how were they different being 11 years apart?
Well, they were totally different because I knew what a draft night was when it was Delon's turn. Because when Darrell, it was his turn, he was so busy going to trial for different teams. He would call me in between flights saying, Mom, I'm headed here, do this, do this. And I'm like, okay. And then when he got to his second or third, I mean, the second to the last, it was like, Mom, I want you to plan a draft party. I'm like, what is that? What's a draft party? He was like, Mom, get some chicken, make some of your potato salad, call some people over, and it's the draft party. I was like, okay.
I love
So
it. It's like an indoor tailgate party.
indoor tailgate party. I'm like, where are we going? We had a big backyard, but I'm like, we had to get chairs. He was like, yeah, go and get some chairs. So Ray and I was running around, and it was the most fun night ever. I realized what a draft night was because I had never watched the draft. I didn't know anything about it.
Wow.
So when it was the Lions' turn,
Uh-huh.
we had all the guests from Darrell's turn, so it was like double and triple for Delon. So we had it at a restaurant, and that was a beautiful night as well because we had all his college friends, coaches, and teammates. So it was fun,
Yeah.
but
So,
totally different.
oh, I can imagine the experience being so different. And of course. So the NBA has evolved so much since your firstborn played in the first NBA game. What are the major differences you see after 17 years as a courtside mom?
Wow. outside of the way the guys play, it seemed like the game is just so fast now to
Yeah.
me. It seems like it's super fast. A lot of three-point shots go up, and they just seem like they're just sharp. Like they're much sharper, even though they have to do that year in college. I think,
Mhm.
which is a good idea. A good thing for them to mature and get some people skills and all that stuff. It just seems like it's a lot faster now.
Of course. Okay, so speaking of college now, so the rules have changed your second time around with DeLon. How was the recruitment process and how did you support him in his commitment to Utah?
Oh my goodness, the line was stressful because he went to City College first. And I'm like,
Right.
Delon, what are you gonna do? He was like, oh mom, just chill. He used to tell me, just chill, mom, I got this. And I'm like, Delon. So before I knew it, he had completed his 2 years and got his AA degree at City College of San Francisco. I love the recruitment
Right.
process as far as Utah was concerned because they were very involved. They kept me involved, really opened my eyes about some things as far as things to look out for, as far as the line being a college student because I didn't have that with
That's right.
Darrell. You know what I
That's
mean?
right.
So
Yep.
they really opened my eyes a lot. And at the same time, I was in college myself. So it was a fun time because we would share like what papers we were working on and different things that we had to do. And before I knew it, he was complete, his 2 years were completed at University of Utah.
Oh, that's
So
amazing.
it was different, but really good.
Of course. So let's talk about him now at in Utah or at Utah. This was your first time as a parent watching your child play college ball. So what was that
So
experience like for
exciting.
you? Yeah.
It
So
was
talk about
so
that experience.
exciting.
Yes.
The Utah family was so warm and welcoming when I would go out there. Once they found out I was his mom, they would offer me, oh, don't you get a hotel the next time? You can stay at my house. We got a big house, blah, blah, blah. It was just a awesome, awesome time. The 2 years went by so fast. I was like, oh, no, I don't want them to end. And the coaching staff were very warm and welcoming, especially like at the holiday time. Don't worry, we're going to have dinner at this coach's house or that coach's house. And then his last year, I got a chance to go out there, me and one of the other moms, and we cooked the dinner, and that was beautiful.
Oh,
We
that's
got
so
to
sweet.
kind of like pay them back.
Right, right.
Yes.
Well, at this point, you had one son in the NBA and one in playing NCAA ball. So Utah has a strong fan base. So tell us the difference between a college atmosphere compared to the NBA atmosphere.
Oh my God, the college, you just like the whole time.
Yep.
I mean,
Yep.
all those stands and the Ute crew that they call them or the band, the atmosphere was just. I don't even think I sat down during the game.
Yeah.
Opposed to compared to the NBA, you kind of like laid back or whatever. Of course, it's still fun, but it was nothing like to me to be able to experience both. I mean, it's like my dream came true. Even though Darrell didn't do, his
Right.
journey was a little bit different. I had still got a chance to experience the best of both worlds. So that was exciting.
You know, you just said that college ball, you're like so super hype, and then when you get to the NBA, you're sitting down, and it's so true. It's reminding me when I was when my son was playing at UNLV.
Mhm.
I don't think I sat
No,
the
you're up the
whole
whole
game.
time.
Yes, yes. I mean, the cheerleaders are on. I'm trying their moves. You know what I mean? The band's there. I had my air drums, my air trumpet, whatever they had, I had. Yeah.
And look, after the game, it felt like you played. You like, whew, you gotta
Yeah,
take a
yeah.
breath because you
Like
just.
I gotta take a nap. Yeah. And then and then my son goes to play with the Magic, and I go to the game and I sit. You know what I mean? As the mom, and
Right.
only a couple times I was a little wild, but other than that, no, I sat. So it's so
Yeah,
funny
you
that
just
you say
very,
that.
just
Yeah,
very calm, right?
I don't know why. So,
Me
so
either. Maybe we try
yeah,
not to embarrass them. I don't know. And it was too many people in college. They didn't
for
care.
real, for real, I didn't care. I was like, listen, this is it. So. It's okay because a lot of people didn't know when my son was in college. They didn't know I was his mom anyway, so it didn't matter.
Oh
It
wow.
it didn't really matter. I didn't care what they thought. So, what was the reason you chose a draft party instead of being at the draft?
Well, that's what I asked them. What's the difference? Why can't we go to New York, or why you have to have a party? And so what they explained to me, that if you projected to go like the first 10 or the first five or whatever, then you get an invitation to come to New York or wherever the
Right.
draft is being held. But Darrell said, Mom, even if I would want my whole family to be there to experience it with me. So they said that they would have declined. Delon said the same.
Oh, that's amazing. And it's
Yeah,
nice because this is a once in a lifetime opportunity, right? So there's
correct.
nothing better than having your family close to you while you experience that.
Correct.
Oh,
So that's why they suggested the draft class.
yeah. At the draft, both of your sons went first round. Darrell
Right.
went 19th to the Miami Heat, and 11 years later, in 2015, DeLon went 20th to the Toronto Raptors. You
Amazing.
must have felt blessed to have two children to have this opportunity.
So blessed. So
Of
blessed. And it's
course.
undescribable, to tell you the truth. And just
Yeah.
to know as a parent that your child is living their best life and living their dreams is priceless.
Yeah. And what a coincidence that your boys got drafted in numerical order. I mean, you get 19 and then
And
20th.
and
So
then 20. And then I had to hear it. Who's the tallest and who got first and who went 20. I mean, they still go back and forth. It's so cute. It's so fun.
so they still
Even
got
to
bragging rights.
Oh yes, Mom, who's the tallest? They still go back and forth on who's the tallest and hottest.
So were you able to attend both of your sons' first NBA debut games?
I was not. I wasn't able to attend. But the
Yeah.
the most rewarding thing about Darrell's first season in the NBA, he played on Christmas, and that was priceless.
Yeah.
But to have him home for Christmas, so
Right.
we
Right.
got to see
Oh.
him. Yes,
Oh, you're blessed because again, they play through the season that sometimes you don't get a chance to spend Christmas with them, right? I mean, I never did
correct.
because at the end of the day, I live in Canada, so I never was able to spend Christmas with my son since he was playing NCAA. When he was playing UNLV, I had to, actually that's only one time
Isn't that
I
something?
had to, yes, I had to go to Vegas. I had to go there for Christmas, which to me I was not complaining. So
Of course not. Now, one good thing about Darrell, would you believe at least four teams that he played on, they used to play on Christmas Day. So I always got a chance to be with Darrell on Christmas and his family.
yeah.
And then even if Delon, depending on his schedule, even though he was in college, he'd always join us for Christmas.
Ooh, so tell me, what was Christmas dinner like with everybody together?
Beautiful. And of course, I did all the cooking always, but I loved it. I just loved it. And I have a daughter as well. She's the baby girl. And just having all three of them together, every time I get the three of them together, we have to take a bunch of pictures. And I'm like, oh, here she is with this camera again. But once Darrell left home, it was hard to get all three of them together at the same time.
Right, right, right. So your daughter, does she play basketball too?
No, she was a cheerleader.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah, she was a cheerleader and just the little pesty sister.
That's okay. She's doing
Yeah.
what she's supposed to do. Good for her. So,
Yes, she's a good sister, though. She's good.
aw. So tell me, let me see. What's memorable from both moments seeing your boys make their NBA debut?
Anytime I'm at a game, to me, just I don't know. They always say, "Mom, whenever you come to our games, we always win." Or if they're on a losing streak, whatever, it's like, "Mom, when you come to the games, we always win," or whatever. But just to be able to go and see them, be a part of their little schedule, like what you have to do today, or we have to do something with the season ticket holders, or we have to do this, or we have to do that. But
Right.
one of the most important things that I enjoy is if they ask me to cook them something. Delon is a breakfast person. So when he got drafted and went to Toronto, I went to Toronto and we were going on a family team trip to
Mm-hmm.
London. And every day I asked Lon, want anything? And one day he was like, Mom, do you feel like making me breakfast? And I cooked breakfast for him every single day. That was priceless.
Oh,
I jumped up, ran to the grocery store and got everything. And Darrell, just going to his house and asked him if there's anything I could cook. And he loves my enchilada pie. So I do that for him when I go home or go
okay,
to his
okay.
home.
Right, right, right. So let's now talk about, let's say, mental health and pro sports. we have seen big strides over the years in the awareness of athletes' mental health. So, how much has this evolved in your eyes?
It's evolved a lot, and it's a conversation that I'm happy that we're able to speak about and be comfortable speaking about it. And where was the line? We had a we were in Toronto. Were we in Toronto? I'm so sorry. I can't remember where we were year before last. But he was doing a basketball camp, and he also incorporated a panel. Um, doing the 2 or 3 day weekend camp,
Yeah.
and they spoke about mental health. And I think it's super important. And I used to always talk about having a parenting class for some of the parents here in LA because we have so many players that go into the league from California. And it's a lot of pressure for these kids, to me.
Yeah.
Just
Yeah.
hearing people come up to me and say, "You have two sons, do this, they're going to do this for me, and they want to do that." And just from them hearing stuff like that, to me, puts a lot of pressure on the kids. So I think addressing it as early as possible and talking about it and making people feel comfortable about what they're thinking and what do they think would happen if things didn't go the way that they want. How would you deal with it? And just kind of like keeping an eye on them and making sure that they're okay.
Of course. There's so much elements that evolve in basketball that are very stressful.
It
So
is.
as parents, we have to do whatever we can just to make sure that our boys or our daughters, if we have WNBA daughters, you know what I mean, they're
Correct.
okay. And people just think that, oh, it doesn't matter. They just have money and everything is great. And it's not necessarily always the case, right?
No, it's not the case at all. And even with me being so far from my boys now, some people say, "Do you talk to your boys every day?" I said, "I wish I could, but at least I text them or I know I can." You know what I mean? I like to look them in the eye, go and visit them and sit down and talk with them and just talk, regular talk, and not just about sports and what you're gonna buy or just about what your plans are after
Yeah,
this, or what's your schedule like, what you're gonna do for the summer. It's important to engage them in that type of conversation.
absolutely. So with the trade deadline, we saw DeLon get traded to
Yes,
Sacramento, bringing him back to his home state of
so
California.
excited.
Have you had a chance to speak to him about it?
I did. We spoke a couple of times today because yesterday when he texted me, you would not believe I was ordering two Detroit Pistons shirts because I was going to go there
Oh,
for his birthday, and the address was in wrong. So as I'm trying to correct it, like, why did this address keep popping up? He texted me, traded to Sac. So I hurry up and cancel that order.
you know what? This reminds me. Oh, this. Anyway, it's so funny how a lot of moms have similar stories. My son, this is NCAA. He played for Pitt first before UNLV,
Okay.
and his dad and his dad's wife and the family, we all drove down to Pittsburgh,
Mhm.
and we were so excited. We got our Pittsburgh outfits, and didn't Kim decide to leave right after? We were mad,
Oh
mad,
my
mad. I'll
God.
never forget. And his stepmom said, "Oh, we just bought expensive pajamas because we're like, we're not wearing this." You know what I
Oh
mean?
my goodness. I hurry up and hit cancel. I was like, that was God saying this address is not gonna be here this whole time.
Yeah, yeah. We were like, Kim, you couldn't choose this before we bought. You know what I mean? Because we were there. We were very supportive parents. We're going to buy
Of course.
everything. Everything was Pitt, the hat to the socks.
Of course.
Let me tell you, we went to bed looking nice, so it didn't matter. So expensive pajamas, but whatever.
Ooh. So yeah, I got a chance to talk to him and just I wanted to hear his voice because I texted him. I said congratulations. Then of course I asked Darrell, have you talked to him? And Darrell said, yeah. So this morning we talked twice about, packing and, the
Right.
transitioning back to California.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
So I guess for him, it's instantaneous. He has to get going like right away.
His flight was today at 6 o'clock.
Yeah. I mean, wow. And you look at these players when they get traded, they just have to be on the go like now. There's not
Right.
even like, okay, you're going to trade it next week. You know what I mean? It's
No,
like, this is your home and you got to go
you gotta go. Get
like
out.
now. Yep. Yep.
Yeah. But he
Like,
sounded pretty good. And I'm sure he's happy to be closer to home. And then Darrell's in the Bay Area. So
oh, okay.
that should make it kind of nice.
Yeah. So regular people criticize our kids for being weak or they just try to justify everything with money they earn. But most people don't find out through social media that they've been relocated to another city.
right.
athletes have to cope with all of this as if it's normal. So the mental aspect is just as important, if not greater, than the physical aspect. So, what is your opinion on that?
That's why I say I think it's so important that we check on them and we dial in on them because when I asked Delon, first I texted him, I was like, "Hi Delon, congratulations." Yeah, I said hi and congrats. How are you? And he didn't reply. So that's why I was like, okay, I'll give him until this morning. I asked Darrell if he spoke to him, and just Darrell just said yes. I spoke to him, but I had a sense of relief once I spoke to him myself. And you talk about mom is the business, and I had just gotten off the plane, and the coach said, "Delon, we need to talk to you." And then he was like, "That's why, mom, I didn't know what to tell you when you said you wanted to see me for my birthday because I heard about the trade rumors." And I was like, I didn't. Like I would hear about everything. So I think it's important that they just get the support and that you not just focus when you do speak to them about sports and why you're not playing and you this and that and you this. And I know for sure during the season, he usually stays off social media so that he's not distracted by all that, that's going on in that said. And then his mom has to learn the same thing, stay off and, not read all that stuff.
Yeah, no, that's true though. I mean, this morning I was talking to my son about the Magic because today they made quite a few trades.
They did.
And yes, and we weren't sure if he was next, right? So, and I just want to gauge and see, oh my God, is he stressed? Like, what's he going through?
Right.
And you know what I mean? And finally, he was just like, it is what it is. If it happens, it happens. What can I do? So there's just no point being miserable about it because you
Correct.
can't change that situation. That's just like one factor that you really don't have much control over.
Correct.
But in the end, they didn't trade him, so I guess he's not as stressed as he probably was.
He can probably breathe and exhale now because I told Delon I was thinking it was last week. So I said I thought the trade deadline had passed. And he was like, no, mom, it was today.
Yeah, yeah.
But there's a lot of movement.
Oh, that's
There's been a
it.
lot of movement.
Yeah. Well, all we can do is wait and see what happens, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
That's it.
So 17 years and counting in the NBA between your two boys. You have a championship in the family
Yes.
with Darrell's time in Miami.
Right.
Delon was a trade away from bringing another championship home.
Oh my
Was that
God.
hard for him to deal with this, or was he happy for Toronto?
He was happy for Toronto because he have a strong brotherhood with the players there. But oh my God, it was so close.
Yeah.
So it was close. So I didn't talk to him about it too much or dwell on it, especially when I thought that they were still going to get the rings, the three players that had left. And then someone told me, oh, it looks like Delon won't get a ring. And I'm like, oh, so of course I didn't want to bring that up to him. I just know he was happy for his teammates.
Yeah. Yeah. How sweet was the championship in Miami?
Oh my goodness. Another stressful time.
Yeah.
I was there the game before, so that happened to be Father's Day weekend. And my father-in-law and I went to Miami and we got a chance to be there for 2 games. And I remember him saying, because the games were so close, he said, I'm too old for this. And so most of the parents and the wives were like, are you gonna get on the plane and fly with us to Dallas? And I was like, no, I gotta get back to California because Delani and my daughter were, pretty young still.
Yeah.
And for them to win that, it was just priceless. I
Oh,
think it was game 6 or game 7. I forgot, but I just know I couldn't hardly sleep
yeah. And
during that next game.
it was so early in his career too.
Correct. It was, I
Yeah.
think it was the second year,
Second year.
second or
Yeah.
third year. Yes.
Yeah. Well, yeah, 'cause he got drafted 2004,
Mm-hmm.
and yeah, they won to 2006.
Oh, 6. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that was a good year.
Right. Of course.
Good year.
So, what was experience like for Darrell in his second year playing with so much talent and experience with the likes of D Wade and Shaq, amongst others?
Oh wow. That's another team that really created a strong bond and a strong brotherhood. And I know sometimes I would call him because of the time difference. I would wait until I got to my car after work and call. And I never forget one evening I called and he was like, hey mom, I'm out eating with Shaq. And Shaq took the phone and said, hello mom. I just want you to know he's in good hands. We're taking care of him. And I felt pretty comfortable then.
That's awesome.
Yes.
Did you get a chance to meet Shaq?
Yes. And his
Oh,
mom.
Allison,
So
his mom, Miss
yeah.
Lucille. Yeah.
Yes. So it was a lot of good friendships that came out of that organization.
Well, I can only imagine a lot of the friendships that you've made over the 17 years and what you have to come with all the moms and the families and the clubs.
Right.
I mean,
I enjoyed it a lot.
of course, of course. So Delon and Dorrell shared the floor for a short period of time. Were you able to attend that game in Toronto?
No, I had just left. So I was at a Toronto game. Then I was at a Miami game. I was flying back and forth doing those playoffs.
Yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
the only reason that I wasn't at that game because it was my grandson Dash, Darrell's second son. It was his first birthday party. So as soon as I parked the car, my phone started going crazy. I said they must be on the floor together, and that's
Yeah.
what it was. Yeah, I had to miss it.
Oh, that's okay. Priorities, right? Once we
Oh,
have
for sure.
grandkids, our kids are history. So,
Oh my goodness. I was like, well, I got to go back home for the birthday party. But the staff for the Raptors made sure I got a beautiful picture of the two of them on the floor together.
oh, that's amazing.
Yeah.
So, you've experienced basketball at all levels across the continent, Europe, Asia, and North America with your children. Do you ever reflect on this journey?
I do all the time, and just I'm so grateful that Darrell's journey took him the way that it did, and he
Right.
was able to experience as much as he has, have a beautiful family, be a great father, and still living his best life. So um, it's been a beautiful life.
Did you ever get a chance to go overseas?
Oh yes, I've been to China. I went to China twice. Went to Germany, and I almost made it to Russia, but he got injured. But yes, I got a chance to experience that.
Oh my gosh, you have to tell me what is it like at a basketball game in China?
When all you hear is him say, Darrell, 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 I didn't understand nothing else.
Yeah.
But very energetic. Their games to me were like college games, a lot of noise and a lot of activity and movement. So really good fan base when he played overseas.
Yeah. I would love to go overseas just to watch a game. And my son played in Turkey and Greece, and I never had the opportunity to go.
Oh,
But
you didn't make it.
no, I
Okay.
couldn't. And looking back at it now, I'm like, I wish because he would tell me about the games, and like you're saying, it's so much energy. And he too
Oh my
compared it
God.
to NCAA.
They
And
love basketball
yeah,
overseas. Yes, they
yeah,
love. China was that that country really loves basketball. They're huge on basketball.
yeah. When you look back at raising two young boys, did you ever think an orange ball could do so much for your family?
Never. I never looked at it that way. Like I said, we were a baseball family. I played
Yeah.
softball. My husband played baseball. We made sure they were introduced to the game. But that orange ball, it really it changed our lives for the better.
Yeah. What does life look like now for Darrell post retirement? And what do you think life would look like after basketball for Delon?
Would you believe? I'm saying, would you believe again? I had a dream probably about 6 weeks prior to Darrell telling me he was offered a job with the Warriors. He was like, "No, Mom." I said, "I really did. I saw you in a suit, sitting at a desk, just with that bright smile, talking about a game or whatever." So I kind of wanted something like that for Darrell because I know he has a passion for the game and he loves to speak and everything. So that part didn't really surprise me for him. For Delon, I could see Delon as being like conditioning or still something in the basketball family, whether it's coaching, mentoring, conditioning, doing something, but still with his hands tied to basketball.
Oh, okay. Well, I saw Darrell was in a music video, so
Did you think he was going that route? That shocked.
I,
I was shocked.
that's
I picked
awesome.
I picked him up from the airport and he stayed with me for a little while before I took him to his hotel. He was like, "Mom, I'm so nervous." I said, "You are?" He was like, "Yeah." I was like, "You nervous?" But I didn't know nothing about the artist or what the video was going to tell anything, but I thought he did a good job.
Yeah, I was watching it. I'm like,
Yeah.
he's the love interest for Seven Streeter.
Seven Streeter and that song. I love that song.
Me too. I was listening to it yesterday. I'm like, all right, Darrell. Like he sang it.
Yes, it was beautiful. But yeah, that's what I could see Delon doing something like that because he loves he's very articulate, like when you say who's competitive, who's the most
Yeah.
competitive, and I think it's Delon. I could see his days after basketball being involved or something like that.
Awesome. So now let's learn some fun facts about your boys.
Okay.
I think you answered this before, but I'm going to ask you again. What is that go-to dish that you make that they both absolutely love?
Anything breakfast for Delon, for sure, scrambled eggs. And for Darrell, it's the enchilada pie.
Yeah, yeah. What was one item as a child they could not live without other than a basketball?
Well, can I share something with you? When
Of
Delon
course
was
you
a
can.
baby, he loved baseball and David Justice. So he had this little plastic bat that he drug around.
Oh,
One of Darrell's old baseball caps, and then this glove. I don't know where he got this glove. Almost like a batting glove or something.
yeah, yeah.
Where he drug those things around with him up until he was about 3. So I would say he started that when he was walking like 2.5 or 3. And Darrell, what did he have to have with him? Can't think of anything right off with Darrell. He got really into the phone. I could tell you that when the phones came out.
Of
What's
course.
in the iPad? I mean, an iPod, because he liked music a lot. So it could
Yeah.
probably be an iPod for Darrell.
For Darrell. So you like music. Okay, there you
Oh,
go.
he likes, yeah, he
Hence
likes
the video.
music for
Okay.
sure.
Did you have a childhood nickname for them? And if so, what were they?
D for Darrell and Line for Delon.
Oh, that's awesome. Now we want to add some tips and advice for our listeners, okay?
Okay.
So what tip would you give a mom on how to deal with a coaching decision that they do not agree with?
Just let her know that the coach is in control and her son is going to be just fine.
Yeah. What advice would you give to a player about how to deal with a tough teammate?
I would just encourage them to just talk it out, not being too aggressive or anything, but just talk it out.
Yeah. If you could give one piece of advice to another courtside mom, what would it be?
Support your son or daughter to the max and listen to them.
Yeah.
I would say listening is the biggest thing. Talk to them and listen, because some of them, like I have different parents say, "Do you talk to your son or daughter every day?" And I said, not every day, but at least I do try to talk to them. I don't like just text all the time or whatever. I just call. I want to hear their voice because moms, our intuition, we could tell if something is bothering them, something is wrong. And even for sure with my kids, once texting really became popular, when my kids called me, that's when I knew that they really wanted to talk or either hear
Yeah.
my voice if they picked up the phone and they called. So I think that's super important. And I'm a card person, so I send cards all the time, like encouraging cards, coping cards, just fun cards, whatever. I'm a card person, so I was sending cards a lot.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, and you know what? And that's great advice coming from a veteran mom.
Oh, thank you.
You've been in this game for a long time, so you understand a lot about what it is to be a basketball family and a basketball parent with kids who, you know what I mean, who've gone through the gamut. And there's so much that
That's
our
a
boys
lot.
go through. Yeah. Yeah.
That's a
So
lot.
I can only imagine you've seen it all. So,
Yeah. And then,
and
as moms, we carry a little bit of that stress or whatever on our shoulders as well. And we could tell when you see them and they're not having a good game or they're on the bench or it could be anything. We could tell.
absolutely. Yeah. And I talk to my son after every game and we just chit chat about, how he thought he played or what was
Mhm.
going on in the game, what was going through his mind. And, for him, it ends when the game ends. Like he'll talk
Correct.
about it and then it's like, anyway.
It's over. I do
Y-
send a text after every game.
Yeah. Yeah. And
Good
if I don't
job,
send it,
or I
yeah.
saw you, or something like that. Or if they don't hear from me, like right after the game, I send them a text that I'm gonna watch the game later, like I recorded or something, so that they'll know I will be tuning in.
Yeah.
I don't
You
want them
have to.
saying why she didn't call me or I haven't heard from her. So I kind of
Yeah, yeah,
like give
yeah.
them
I
a
know.
heads up.
I have that text ready by the time he gets to the locker room. So you
Me
know what I
too.
mean? Thank you. So 5 minutes later, he's like, "Really?" So,
That's to me. I'm on it.
yeah, yeah, absolutely. And you know what? As moms, that's something that we're always going to do.
Of course.
Absolutely. Stacy, you were fantastic. I
Oh,
thank
thank
you
you.
so much. This was a lot of fun. Thank you for coming on
I
Courtside
enjoyed.
Moms.
I
Yeah.
enjoyed it. Thank you so much for having me.